Hi everyone. We are going to today do just a nice, easy, kind of slow flow, pretty gentle. If you happen to have a block, go ahead and grab that. We'll use it at one point or at a couple different points. But if you don't have one, it's not a big deal. So what we're doing with it today, you don't absolutely need to have it. So it's totally okay. We're going to go ahead and start down on our backs. So just as usual, make yourself really comfortable, whatever that might look like. You can lay flat or curl up or bend at the knees, feet flat on the floor, whatever feels best and most supportive for your back especially. So go ahead and find your way down there. And just go ahead and close down the eyes. If it feels comfortable to do so, place one hand on the chest and one hand on the belly. Yeah, and don't worry too much about that quite yet. Just place the hands there, let the elbows rest down, let the shoulders relax down, and close down the eyes. Start to listen in on your breath. You know, as we're going through this quarantine period, I have been pretty busy, which seems weird. Busy enough that I don't really stop and pay attention to how I'm feeling. So allow yourself to do that right now. Maybe you just notice that there's something a little off with the breath. That often is a good clue as to how we're feeling, even if we haven't realized it quite yet. If we're holding the breath, if we're breathing just from the chest. Some days it seems like I just breathe in, I hardly ever exhale. And that's a really good depiction of how I'm feeling. And again, even if I haven't really noticed it yet or realized that I'm stressed out or overwhelmed, I can tell that by the breath. So take just a minute and pay attention. And then let's take just 3 or 4 rounds of what we'll call a 3-part breath. So it's in 3 distinct pieces, each inhale and each exhale. So with the hands placed on the chest and on the belly, as you breathe in, first you should feel the hand on the belly kind of rise up as the belly fills full. And then this space between the hands will come next. And then the hand on the chest will lift up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, it just happens in reverse order. Chest, middle space, belly. Let's do one more together. Belly, middle, chest. Exhale, chest, middle, belly. And take just 2 more at your own pace. And then whenever you are finished, take the knees up into the chest. Squeeze against the shins or the backs of the thighs. And here you can stay still, or you can gently kind of rock from side to side a little bit. Maybe you even pick up the head and tuck the chin up to the chest. And bring the feet down to the ground. And then here we'll use that block if you have one. And if not, again, it's okay. So if you do, though, take it kind of skinny way between the knees. If you don't have one, just engage the legs so that it feels like the inner thighs are pulling inward. Maybe the thighs touch, maybe the knees touch, maybe the feet touch. All of that's okay, but not necessary. we want to feel that pulling inward action. So if you're using a block, squeeze into it. It's light, it's not going to go anywhere. You can be really lazy about it, but don't. Squeeze the knees into the block there at center, so we're pulling into the midline of the body, and then flex the feet and draw the knees toward the chest so that we're at this like tabletop. Good, and then we're going to just touch the heels down and pull back up. So we're going to stop when the shins are about parallel to the floor. So let's take a couple more. Let's inhale down and exhale up. Inhale down and exhale up. Good, keep going. Maybe you straighten out the legs a little bit more. Good, maybe they're still a little bit bent. And then maybe the legs lift up higher. We always want the thighs perpendicular to the floor. So whether the shins are bent, the legs are totally straight, the thighs will be perpendicular to the floor. So again, straight, bent, or somewhere in between. Let's inhale down. Exhale up. Inhale down. Exhale up. Let's do one more here. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Bring the shins back parallel to the floor. Squeeze inward. Open the arms out wide if you've got room. I've got this wall next to me, like a big T shape. Palms can face the ceiling so that the shoulders roll back and down and the chest is more open. If you need more support, though, place the palms on the floor. That's okay. Squeeze inward and inhale over to your right side. Don't touch the floor. Exhale back up to center. You're going just as far as feels okay. It doesn't even have to be close to the floor. Inhale over and exhale back to center. Inhale and exhale. We'll go to the left and back to center. We're going to do one more each side like this. Breathe into the right and out and back in. Good, and out. And then remove that block if you're using it and take the knees all the way over to the right side for a twist. Open up your left arm so that that shoulder presses down into the floor and turn the head in that direction. If that feels okay on the neck, wherever you are, just sink in here. And come back up to center, and we'll do the same over to the other side, but let's go ahead and exhale, lift the head, tuck the chin in towards the chest. Stay here for a few breaths. Get really light in the hands. Maybe you let go, right? Or maybe you're just not gripping on very tightly here. Good. Head comes down, knees drop slowly over to the left side, right arm opens out, and maybe the head turns in that direction. If it feels okay, go ahead and close down the eyes. And bring the knees back to center. This time, lift the head, tuck the chin, start to rock and roll up and down, eventually coming all the way up and over to tabletop. So in tabletop, spreading the fingers, stacking the joints, nice long spine. Breathe in, belly drops, look forward, shoulders back and down. Really focus on squeezing the shoulder blades toward each other. And exhale, round the spine, cat pose, chin to chest, tail pulls under. Keep going here at your own pace. Again, if it feels okay, close down the eyes. Just really let yourself pay attention to how you feel. One good thing about doing this online is we don't worry maybe as much, if at all, about how we look or if we're doing it right or wrong. Just let yourself move, and if it feels good, continue there. And if not, we can always shift and make adjustments. On your next breath in, neutral spine. And then press back, child's pose. Big toes touch, knees can be together or apart. Let your forehead rest on something. So if your forehead's not touching down to the ground, no problem at all. Maybe grab that block, or you can fold your arms, stack your fists, but get comfortable. And letting that head rest so that the neck can relax a little bit. And on your next breath in, press up to tabletop again. Remember, though, that you can return to child's pose at any moment. It's a really great place to come to. So here in table, go ahead and curl the toes under and just hover the knees off of the mat. So it's just the littlest little lift, right? And you can lift higher. The lower you go, typically the more engaged the core is, and that's what we're looking for. So try and stay nice and low, nice long deep breaths, and then lengthen from the tailbone through the top of the head. So we're not arching the spine or drooping down. Nice and strong. Good. Go ahead and take the knees down. Sit back toward the heels, toes still curled, and stretch the fingertips forward. Let the head drop. It might not touch, and that's okay. And then come back up, tabletop, toes curled, knees hover, engage the core, lengthen the spine. Keep breathing. Good. This time, knees down, lift up, hands up high, press the hips forward so that you open up through the chest and stretch out all of that we just used. And bring the hands back down to the ground, toes curled, press back, child's pose, reaching forward, head dropping just as low as you can. And lift up through tabletop, this time downward facing dog. So curl the toes. If they're not still there, press up and back. And take some movement through the legs, maybe through the shoulders, the head and neck. Always just really getting into the body here at the beginning of our practice. Right? And that can look like different things for different people. And on your inhale, shift forward, plank or kneeling plank. So knees up or down, either way. But we want to create this length from the top of the head straight back. And then exhale, downward facing dog. And let's do that with the breath 2 more times. Let's inhale forward and exhale back. Inhale, come forward. And exhale, press back. Good. Come forward, drop the right knee down, supported side plank, left hand lifts up and opens up. Good. So maybe it's reaching straight to the sky, maybe it reaches back behind you so that the chest lifts up a little bit more. And release down, find child's pose, arms back along your sides. Maybe roll out the wrists a little bit here. Stretch the arms in front of you, press up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward, plank, drop the left knee, same thing, other side. Right leg stretches back, right hand lifts up into the air. And then again, maybe it comes back behind you. You've got room. Chest to the sky, looking upward. Both hands down, tabletop, curl the toes, and sit back onto the heels. So if that feels okay for the feet, if the bottoms of the feet feel really tight and this is not working out for you, you can always uncurl the toes and sit back. So whichever version feels okay. Take hands to heart center here in the front. And then we're just going to flip knuckles together, fingers point down, elbows straight out, and then drop the elbows down while keeping the hands connected to stretch out the fronts of the wrists. So just as much as feels good, including keeping them pretty lifted. And then release that, come back to tabletop. Right hand, we're going to spin out and backwards as far as feels good. Good. Do the same thing with the left side. Maybe you're totally backward. Maybe you're slightly pointed outward, somewhere in between. And then circle the body. Begin in either direction. And then just switch. Go the other way. Come back to stillness at center. Release the hands. Walk both hands forward, extended puppy pose, and here we'll stay for a little bit. So we'll start to slow it down a little bit. Maybe you take a block underneath the forehead, or maybe your forehead touches down to the ground. What we do want is to keep the hips stacked right on top of the knees, or pretty close, so we don't want to be sitting backwards towards child's pose. And then let the forehead drop down as well as the chest. Try and relax the shoulders. I know it's hard here, especially if that's where we tend to carry around our tension. Right, this posture can really feel like a lot. And press back up, walk the hands inward. Take down dog or child's pose. Let's find either one of those postures and take like 3 or 4 long, slow, deep breaths. Maybe movement, maybe you find stillness. And then let's meet up at the top of our mat, finding a forward fold, maybe even ragdoll. Feet about hips width apart. Wrapping the hands around opposite triceps, letting the upper body hang and the knees are really soft here. Let the hands release. Keep the knees bent and roll slowly up to standing. Let the head lift up last and the shoulders will then roll back and down with the palms facing forward, mountain pose. Close down the eyes. And take a few big full breaths right into the belly. And on your inhale, reach the arms up into the air. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Hands to the mat, step the feet back, plank pose. Maybe drop to kneeling plank this first time as we lower all the way down to the belly. Big breath in, just the chest lifts, low cobra pose. Exhale, let's take child's pose here. Pausing, arms in any position. Let the whole body just relax into the ground. On your inhale, come up through tabletop, curl the toes, downward facing dog. On an inhale, softly bend the knees and look forward. Exhale, make your way to the top end of your mat. Maybe one big step, lots of little ones. Halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Breathe in, reach up, stand tall. Exhale, take hands through the center of the heart and clasp them at your low back this time. Big breath in, shoulders back, chest lifts up. Exhale, soften the knees, fold down nice and easy. Chest to the thighs, knuckles reach away, shoulder blades together. On an inhale, stand up tall, sweep all the way up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Hands down, step back, plank pose. Good, let's breathe in here and breathe out. Nice big breath in. On your exhale, bend the elbows to your own degree, and then inhale, chest rises, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog or child's pose. So let's stay in either of those two for a few breaths here. And from downward facing dog, on your inhale, take your right leg up into the air. On your exhale, take your knee into your nose, squeeze inward, and step that right foot up between the hands. And drop your left knee down to the ground, and then let's shift the hips backwards so that the right leg is straight out in front, toes point up towards the ceiling. Good. And then before we fold over any further, if we do, let's do something a little different. Instead of lifting the toes up, we're going to keep the foot flexed, but let's tip the toes inward. That will increase this stretch all down the outside of the right leg, including the IT band. So from here, you may find that you actually might need to lift up higher. Maybe you stay as you are, perhaps you go a little bit lower, but just find your spot here and breathe. And toes turn back up towards the ceiling. Knee bends, kneeling lunge. Good. Curl those back toes under. Plant the foot. Warrior one. Right knee bends. Back foot is fully planted. Hips turn forward. Low belly pulls in. Arms lift up. And relax the shoulders away from the ears. And clasp the hands at the low back. On an in-breath, take the chest up high. Humble warrior, bow down, fold forward. Like you're trying to take your right shoulder to your right thigh. And then let the head go. Squeeze the shoulder blades. Breathe and lift back up, warrior one. Exhale, hands come down to the ground. Now we're going to step forward, but as you do so, step your left foot up behind your right leg so that the legs are crossed now. Left behind right. Keep sinking down into this forward fold. Again, here a block may come in handy. Knees can bend, but we want both feet planted firmly on the floor with all 10 toes facing as forward as we can. And then here, relax downward. On your inhale, take a halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Be careful with balance. On your in-breath, stand tall. Grab hold of your right wrist with your left hand and take a side bend over to the left. And breathe in, reach up. Exhale, take hands through heart center. And then here we're going to start to bend the knees, sinking into that left heel. Our left leg is our standing foot here. So as we're sinking down, we're coming into eagle pose legs. Maybe those right toes stay on the ground. Maybe they lift up and maybe they wrap around. So any of those are okay. And then with the arms, we're going to do just the opposite. Right comes under left. Palms face if we can. We're going to lift the elbows up and sink the shoulders down. On an inhale, unwind everything. Stand up tall. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Here, take a vinyasa if you would like to, or find rest. I'm going to head back into child's pose. Down dog is another great option. Wherever you are, either flowing and moving or pausing, take this moment to reconnect with the breath. Back up to tabletop. Find down dog if you're not already there. And breathe the left leg up high. Got a wall in the way. And with your exhale, knee to nose. And step the left foot all the way forward. Drop that right knee down to the ground. And right away, we'll shift those hips back. Left leg straight, toes lifted up and back. And then we're going to tilt it over towards the right. Toes point inward. Good, so stay here, lift up higher, fold forward, more dependent on what you need. And then lift back up, bend into that right knee coming forward, left knee. And then we find warrior one. Arms lift, right foot presses backward, all four corners of that right foot connecting with the ground. Good, and then exhale, let's clasp the hands at the low back, squeeze the shoulder blades, open up the chest, and lead with the chest as you come forward and down, humble warrior. Breathe in, warrior one. Breathe out, hands come down. As we step forward, we're going to take this right leg behind the left leg for a forward fold. So take your time here and adjust the feet accordingly. We want all 10 toes pointed forward and both feet planted firmly on the floor. That may include bending the knees more. That might mean that the right foot is back a little further than the left. Good. And then when you're ready, sink into this fold with or without a block. Halfway lift as you breathe in and release. Breathing out. Inhale, lift the arms up nice and easy, stand tall. Right hand will grab hold of the left wrist as we find a side bend to the right. Try and keep the hips squared off instead of letting them twist. Same with the chest and shoulders. We're going to try and remain forward. And then breathe in, lift up. As you bring the hands down to heart center, start to bend the knees here. So that left leg that's on the right side of the mat, the foot's going to get a little lighter, right? Maybe we stay on those toes, maybe we lift it up, we can wrap it around. We're going to keep those sinking into that right heel, the standing foot. Arms are going to do just the opposite. So left will wind underneath right this time. Elbows up, shoulders down, hands away. Breathe. And inhale, unwind everything. Lift up, feet planted firmly. Exhale and fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. And then fold, plant the palms. Let's all take child's pose this time. And come up to seated from here. We're going to come into cow face pose or Gomukhasana, just the leg part though, not the upper body, not the arms. And for that we would need a strap, or we may need a strap, and I didn't have anybody grab one. So let's begin with the left leg on the bottom, left knee pointed straight forward. So we don't want it off to the side like we're going to come into an easy seated pose. We want it more forward. This right one, we can begin with it pointed straight up towards the ceiling. See how that feels on your outer right thigh. If you need more, we're going to take it over and pull it in. See how that feels. Good. If you still need more from here, and this is one of those funky poses that works very differently in every different body. So these are stepping stones, good places to stay and stop and hold. If you need more, go ahead and tip that knee down and pull slowly that foot over toward the opposite hip. So right foot by left hip, left foot by right hip. From here, we're going to sit nice and tall. See how that feels. Knee on top of knees as far as we want to go with that. Right? We don't have to be anywhere close to that far though. So see how that feels. Yeah, maybe the feet come a little further away from the body. Feet can flex. All looking for that stretch down the outer right thigh, right hip area. Sit tall wherever you are. Close down the eyes and just let the hands rest either on the front leg or down at your sides. And then only if you need a little bit more, let's go ahead and come forward. The more forward we come, the more that stretch will increase. What we do want though is to keep the spine nice and long, nice and tall. We don't want to round. It'll take away from that, and we're not doing our back any favors either. So let's keep it nice and long, folding as we lead with the chest. Yeah, you're just going as far as feels good. Here, that block can come in really handy again too. If you've got it, you can always come forward and rest the head on it if that's accessible, or you can even take it on top of that front knee and rest the head on it. Or fold arms over top of it and rest there. Good. Let's sit up nice and tall, uncross the legs. And we'll take the soles of the feet together and in between the two sides. And then with that, let's lift tall through the top of the head here. Shoulders back, heart open. And then we'll come into cow face pose on the other side. So let's tip that left knee upward. We'll take this right side underneath, right heel next to the left hip or glute, knee pointed as forward as we can. Good starting point, good stopping point too. We might want to cross over and kind of pull inward, activate that lengthening of the outer thigh here, or maybe we tip the knee down and start to slowly move our way over towards the other hip so that the left foot is near the right hip. And we can stop there at any point. It doesn't have to be fully stacked. Feet can stay close or move away. Feet can flex. Sit tall wherever you are. Close down the eyes. Let the arms relax so that the shoulders can relax. Then maybe the neck will relax. It's this chain reaction. And then any amount that you need to, with or without that assistance of the block, you can come forward. Maybe it's just tippy-toeing out little by little, getting used to where you are and maybe moving a little further or not. Let's come back up to seated. Let's uncross and again take the soles of the feet together. Now a little different this time though. If it feels okay, go ahead and take the hands through the center of this diamond and wrap them around to the outsides. Maybe hold the feet, the ankles, wherever. And then sit tall, especially lift the chest up. Exhale, chin to chest, roll down to the feet. Here you may shift your grip where you're holding on, but let your whole body curl inward. On an inhale, roll back up, knees up and together. Let's go ahead and come all the way down onto our backs here. So lay down, take the feet wide to the edges of the mat, and let the knees fall together. Hands placed on the chest and the belly once again. Take a few of those 3-part breaths with the eyes closed. As you do that and you focus on the breath, also focus on breathing into or relaxing through the low back. Like the muscle is just melting down to the floor. And then walk the feet toward each other. You're going to cross your right knee over top of the left knee. And then if you'd like to, you can wind. So just think about coming into eagle pose, but down on your back. So if you'd like to, you can wind the feet together. That's kind of helpful for what we're doing here. But if that's not accessible or just doesn't feel good, that's not a problem at all. And then same but opposite with the arms. So we've got right leg on top. We'll take left arm on top, palms face together if they can. If not, backs of hands work well too. And then with the feet down on the ground like this, let's take the fingertips down to the ground as well. Good. Feel here like you're pushing everything together. Where the feet are connecting, push them together. Where the thighs are connecting, press them together. Upper arms, forearms, hands, everything. Push it all inward. And then exhale, lift up. Elbows to knees, knees to elbows. Inhale, lower down. Keep squeezing together though. Don't stop that. Breathe out. Breathe in. 3 more. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Last one. Breathe out. Breathe in and unwind everything. Take the knees up to the chest. Give a nice little squeeze. Let the head lift up. And bring the head back down to the ground and the feet as well. Same thing, but on the other side. So we'll cross left over right, maybe the legs wind. We'll cross right arm over the left, palms face each other if they can. Fingertips drop to the floor. And then first here we'll focus on engaging. So squish everything together, pulling into the midline of the body. Exhale and lift. Inhale and lower. Exhale. Inhale. Breathing out. Breathing in. 2 more. Breathe out. Breathe in. Last one. Exhale. Inhale and unwind everything. Feet wide again, knees together again, hands resting, eyes closed, soften through the low back. Knees, windshield wiper from side to side. Come back to center, feet walk inward. Let's cross left knee over top of right knee. Yeah, we're not doing the same thing though, so don't worry. And then bring the knees in towards the chest. You may start to immediately feel this lengthening through the outer left hip, left glute, just like cow face pose. This pose is no different. We've just tipped the whole thing downward. But go ahead and let both knees drop slowly over to your right side for a twist. If that left shoulder lifts up, let it lay back down, even if it means that you twist less. Maybe the knees have to lift up. Turn the head to look over to the left side of your mat and stay here and breathe. If, though, this feels like a whole lot on your low back with the legs like this, just uncross them. That's okay. And that'll lessen that load a little bit. Come back up to center as the legs uncross. Just place the feet flat on the floor. And then cross right over top of left. Knees to chest. Just give a little squeeze here as maybe you start to lengthen down that outer right hip area. And then tip both knees over to your left side, keeping them crossed or uncrossing as needed. Right shoulder sinks into the ground as the head turns to the right, and take a few deep breaths here. Bring the knees back up to center, uncross the legs and tuck both knees up into the chest. And then find your Shavasana. Legs can extend if that feels okay, or bend at the knees. Arms, if it feels all right, take them to your sides a little ways off of the mat with the palms facing upward so that the shoulders can roll back and down and the chest can open up. But any other position is okay. If you need to bend at the knees or even come to a seated meditation, that's okay. And I'm going to leave you in Shavasana today so that you can stay for as long as you'd like. Thanks for joining me today.